Hello, hello. Welcome to the podcast, guys. Today we have a very, very special guest. His name is Alfonso Quadra. He is the CEO of Quadra Group, another company by the name Wealth Genius Inc., where he provides mentoring and coaching, and he's building a life-changing community there. Then he's also changing the youth and transforming them through the Quadra Youth Foundation. We like to call him the godfather of real estate. Let's welcome Alfonso Quadra.
Woo, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm glad I'm here, my man. I'm glad I'm here. You're doing it. You got the podcast. It's official. Let's go.
Yes. Thank you for pushing it. And now it seems a little simpler than it used to be.
Yes.
In my mind. So it's getting better. Yeah.
Good. And you're doing a great job. So congratulations.
Thank you very much. Okay, so let's start. So the podcast is about investors, by investors, for investors across North America. So we talk about the journey. So we'd like to know more about your journey, how you got into real estate, how you got into Canada. I know there's a very powerful story that you have. I always get goosebumps when I hear it about the refugee and how you came here from war and everything. So for the audience, let's go ahead and tell your story, enlighten us.
Yeah, I won't go too much into it, but I'll give you the cliff notes. Okay?
Absolutely,
so,
yes.
Born in Latin America, Central America, El Salvador to be exact.
Yes.
During a time of war. My mom was a journalist, and she would talk about the truths and injustices that were happening with our government. Mm-hmm. She, was illegally detained, so she was brought to prison. She was going to serve a 40-year sentence. My grandparents kept me in hiding, and so I was kept in hiding for about 3 years, and I was not allowed to go outside. I was not allowed to interact with other kids, things like that, and so. That's kind of how my life started. And between the ages of 2 to 9, we pretty much spent it hiding from governments, war-torn countries, going from country to country. We actually came to Canada as, landing refugees, which is this. I came here twice, but, to give you the cliff notes, I came here as a landing refugee. And because I had so many gaps in my learning, because I didn't go to school like most kids. I had a trouble integrating into the education system. Ultimately, I was not inspired in school. And by the time I was 15, I dropped out of high school and I left home. Now I'm 15 years old, high school dropout from a war-torn country, no self-confidence. I didn't believe in myself, right? I didn't find myself of any value. I leave home. Now I'm homeless, panhandling for change, living on the streets. And so I went through some really dark times. And Harsh, you probably have a dark time like that. I mean,
oh, yeah.
I think everybody has had a time in their life where it's dark. And I always tell people, my story is not different than anybody else's because it feels real to everyone. There's people probably that have gone through horrific things in their lives.
Yes.
It's no different than your darkest time because it probably felt the same, right?
Yes.
And so
absolutely.
I had a life-changing moment when I was 17. I became a father.
Yes.
And you've met my daughter, right?
Yes, absolutely.
From the moment she was born, it just kind of changed my life, and it put me on a trajectory to build something. And I don't know, I had this feeling that I wanted to build, I wanted to create. I don't know, something happened to me when she was born.
Yeah.
It was
unexplainable. You can't really explain the feelings sometimes. I do get it.
Yeah, it's like I stopped blaming the world for my problems.
Yeah.
And I started to take responsibility over my life.
Okay.
I discovered purpose, right? And
yes.
If you have a purpose that's powerful enough, you
yes.
become unstoppable.
Yes.
So that's important. And it was a time of self-reflection and massive action, because
Yes.
there's urgency, and there's absolute power in urgency. And so I went back to school. I started a business. As a result, that business ended up being a successful business. By the time I'm 19, I opened my first physical location. I'm 21. I have locations all across Canada. I'm making millions of dollars. The problem was I was not financially literate, right? I didn't have any financial literacy at home. My
Hmm.
mom, being a immigrant mom, that the only thing my mom wanted, it was for me to go to university, get a university degree. And I knew that academics just wasn't going to be for me, and I wanted to be in the business world. And so um, by the time I'm 24, I'm almost at the point where I'm going to lose everything until I made some changes. And those changes was I started to educate myself on wealth. And that was the game changer. Because once I started to learn about wealthy people, and I say this to everyone, you want to be wealthy, study wealth,
Yes.
study wealthy people, right? And
Yes.
so for me, that was important. I'm just going to put it on the speaker view, because then I would just look at you like this, you know. but but ultimately, I started to study wealthy people. I started to read all the classics. Actually, during high school, I thought I didn't like to read. It turns out I didn't like to read what they were pushing on me, but I love reading. I love educating myself, and I started to learn about wealthy people, how financial literacy works. And I discovered that, number one, the wealthiest people have multiple streams of income.
Yes.
I discovered that the wealthiest people have the investor mindset. I had the consumer mindset. And lastly, the wealthiest people in the world have real estate. And that's
Yes.
kind of my how I started. I started to think about how I was going to build my wealth through real estate. And
Yes.
I was 24, and what I noticed about all of these people that I read about was that nobody was investing into single family homes or duplexes and triplexes. They all had significant real estate. And so that's kind of what I did. I went out and I started buying multifamily, and
Yes.
slowly each deal got bigger and bigger and bigger until what you see now, my friend.
Yes.
Portfolio across Canada and the US.
Yes.
Now I'm in a position where I can help other people achieve the same thing.
Absolutely, and that's a terrific job that you're doing through L Genius. I do know that. And coming to the real estate part, so was this the only reason, like because you read about wealth, and yes, that's true as well, that most of the millionaires and billionaires have significant amount, I would say like 70-80% of their wealth invested in real estate, or it's been built through real estate, right? I've never heard somebody made money from stocks in that significant amount. I know Warren Buffett does promote that stock thing, but most
But he
of his
still owns real
investments
estate.
are, yes, most of his investments are himself. Like he's heavily invested in real estate too, right? I read about Bill Gates. Now they're buying farms in across the U.S. because I feel that the next war, whatever that's going to happen, is going to happen on, or the crunch that's going to come is about the food, because the population is ever growing and there are not enough resources to deal with it. So Bill Gates just bought few farms, like few thousands of acres and hectares. I don't know how much, but yes, he did buy them recently, like this year.
Yeah.
So that's where everyone is going. So yes. So was there any other reason, or this was the only reason?
Yeah.
Because
So basically, there was zero financial education in my household.
yep.
So the idea of owning a house was not really a priority. It's not like a reality that everyone could pursue.
Yes.
No one talked about businesses. No one talked about anything of that nature. It was just pretty much the message was just go to school, and if you
Yes.
go to school, everything's going to be okay. You know,
Yes.
and I just didn't feel that that was my path. Even though I believe in school, I believe people should educate themselves. Of course, my my surgeon, I want my surgeon to be very well educated, and so I do believe in academia.
Yes.
Just felt it wasn't the right path for me.
Yes, and I do believe academics, if like some people preach that academics is a waste of time, what I believe is academics are necessary to make you literate, right? If you're not even literate, you'll not even go and know about the things that you want to do, right? Literacy is more important than the overall education that everyone preaches about. But yes, some specific skills like doctors, surgeons, yes, they need to be
Yeah.
very well educated and very well experienced, because I don't want somebody to cut me off and not without the proper education. Absolutely. Yes.
Well, we're buying this property, so we're buying like this is a long time ago, and
Okay.
we were buying these like I was saying, all these properties side by side in the block
Yes.
from this investor that owned like half of the neighborhood. Okay,
Wow.
it was an old Portuguese guy.
Okay.
So we were sitting in the office, and he signed all the papers. Okay, and I noticed that his signature was just an X, and I'm like, that's a weird. I'm like, that's a weird signature, you know.
Yes.
And he's like, yeah, he can't read.
Oh wow.
He
Oh wow.
can't read, and,
Yeah.
usually when people can't read, their signature just is it's an X. And so it turns out that to be an investor, you don't even need to know how to read. You just have to learn how to count. You just need to
Yeah.
learn how to multiply.
Yes.
You know?
Absolutely, yes. And but and similar, like in this case also, if he knew how to read, he would have read the documents very clearly. But I guess like he owns half of the neighborhood, he had people who he employed who could read it to him, right?
Yeah,
So good, good, good. Tell us about the youth thing. What got you moving into the youth piece where you're now doing the Quadra Youth Foundation? And I know you do those events with the youths at college, like middle and high school grade people, and you do it and you help them transform and educate them on the literacy, and you motivate them to do some work. Tell us a little bit about a little bit more
I,
about the
I
Quadra Youth.
wish there was more of that when I was growing up. I think I would have
Yes.
been more inspired to stay in school.
Oh,
Uh, there was just nothing like that when I was growing up. There would be some people that would come every once in a while and say, "You can do it, you can do it," but it was no one that looked like me, first of all, and there was nothing inspiring. There was nobody. I felt alone in school, to be honest with you,
uh-huh.
and you know, I never wanted people to feel left behind, and for people like me where I knew that maybe academia is not going to be the best route for me.
Yeah,
When I was 15 years old, there was no other option. It's like, okay, if you're not going to be good in school, you're probably not going to do anything in your life. You know what I mean?
absolutely.
And my passion is to help young people understand that you have other options,
Yes.
especially in the world that we're heading. When I was growing up, it was easy. You get a job, you stay there for 40 years or whatever, and that's what it is. I think
Hmm.
we're headed into another world where there's the skill sets that our generation has lost, the social skills, the
Yes.
interpersonal skills, the communication skills. Some of those skills are going to be so valuable in the next 10 years because for the past 10 years, young people are just kind of stuck in their gadgets and they're not developing those social skills. I remember
Yes.
when I was a kid, I could go outside and instantly you make friends and you play with other kids. Like it's almost instant. It was not like you had to like try, right? It's just like
Absolutely.
another kid is
Absolutely.
going to talk to that kid, right?
Yes.
And so, I think the next generation is losing a lot of that. And
Yes.
ultimately, I feel a responsibility to at least give young people a chance, right? And maybe I can't touch all the kids, I can't connect with all the kids, but the ones that are going to come to any one of our programs, we're going to try to teach them as much as possible, open up their minds about financial literacy, how to start businesses, how to invest in real estate. Even if they're going to be professionals, they should have another option of what to do with their money, right?
Yes.
they wanted to invest.
Absolutely. So, and how do people get in touch with, like, connect with Quadra Youth Foundation so that they can know where the next event
Yeah,
is? So,
basically, it's quadrayouthfoundation.com.
yeah,
And what we do is we connect with people that have boots on the ground,
yes,
and we're looking for people to help us put young people in the room,
yeah,
right?
okay,
Minimum 20 people.
yes,
There's no, like minimum 20 people, and I will fly down to anywhere in North America, and I will deliver the program. It's a one-day program. We'll fly down the team. There's no cost to anybody. There's no cost to the young people. It's just all about being in a position where they can be exposed to some of this stuff.
okay. And what age groups do you?
12 to 17 is the best.
Okay, so in the high school, like when they're kind of leaving the school side and preparing for the next version, like the university or maybe the college. Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
Well, we discovered that it's 12 to 17. They can actually start using these concepts right now,
oh,
right?
okay.
So, out of these events, we've had a lot of young people start businesses. Uh,
Wow.
I had one of my students at 16 started a barber shop in his basement.
Oh, wow.
Now out of his basement, I think he's 18. He's making $3,000 a week just out of.
Whoa. Whoa, that's 12,000 to $14,000 a month.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's incredible.
He actually trained his other friends to cut hair, and his basement became this like salon.
Incredible, phenomenal.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, now talk about the Quadra Group and the Well Genius part, where I guess the Quadra Group is where you are buying all your investments and everything. And what's great about it is like you own almost $1,000 now, right? Almost $1,000 under management, uh, which is incredible. Like not many people get to achieve or reach that level. And I'm sure that 23 or 24 years that you have been in the business, that's where that experience comes from. And talk a little bit about that Quadra Group, and then we'll move on to Well Genius.
So, like for us, it's about providing good quality housing for people.
Yes.
I don't believe in like owning rundown properties, or even if you buy rundown properties, underperforming properties, you should invest into bringing it to standard. And
Yes.
when you do that, what you're actually going to do is you're going to have a better investment, less problems, less tenant issues, because
Yes.
tenant issues is the thing that people sometimes it's what holds people back from
Yes.
investing. But if
Yes.
you just look for really good assets, or turn those assets into really good assets, then the investment side becomes a lot easier, and then you're able to scale the business, right?
Yes.
A lot of
Absolutely.
people a lot of people don't want to hire a team, but for us, it's all about the infrastructure. And to get to where you want to go, you need people, right?
Yes.
And so we have an acquisitions person, we have a communications person, we have an office administrator, we have bookkeeping and accounting and operations. So we put together a team, so now we can build all of these, build a portfolio, help other people tap into our infrastructure. So we work with a lot of other investors where they can, they don't have to figure it out on their own. They can
Yes.
just tap into the infrastructure and the system that I've created, and
Yes.
then they all can make money, right?
Absolutely.
And
Yes.
so the team is key, and this is why it's called the Quadra Group. It's
Yes.
a group of like-minded people that are all pushing towards the same direction, and
Yeah.
we're building these portfolios that produce cash flow, and they're really amazing assets. That if you drive by any one of our properties, you probably can tell which ones they are.
Okay. And one question I'd like to ask, and this is on a personal front. When you got your first multifamily, like a commercial multifamily, where like 7 and above,
Yeah.
I know you were doing houses before, like you did a few houses and then you moved on to commercial, right?
Yeah.
When you moved on to commercial, what change did you see from a perspective of tenants and from a perspective of business? Like I know houses, many people own many houses. I know people who own like 20, 30 houses, right? The management is bizarre. Like, I don't know how they manage it, but getting it in one building is just easier. But when you moved, what did you see in what were the challenges or any key insights for people who are like new, not new, but maybe active, like new to the active investing world?
So my first deal,
Yes.
I was 21, and it was a single family house.
Yeah.
And to me, that was like mind blowing, because like no one in my family has owned a house. My grandparents owned a house, but when my grandfather passed, my grandmother had to sell the house.
Yes.
So that house, was like, wow, I made it. I got a house. The problem with the house, it was a bloodsucker, right? And you got expenses, taxes, this and that, the other. You're not making any money from this house. When I transitioned into investing, my second deal was a duplex that I converted into a triplex.
Oh.
And then I went back a month and a half later, and I refied that property, and I pulled the money out.
Oh.
My third deal was a 7-unit apartment building, right? And so even though I had this duplex,
yes,
with tenants or whatever, the second I jumped into the 7-plex, I was like, okay, the mortgage doesn't depend on me. It's more about the asset, so it's easier to finance, easier to manage, easier to manage from a perspective of, everything is in one place. Everything's contained in one place.
Yes.
And then I said, this is what all I'm going to do, right? I'm going to do multifamily. And my fourth deal was a 10-plex. And so, that's kind of where I stand. It's like, it's a big difference. 10 units all in one place versus having 10 different single family house all over, running around town everywhere. And so it's easy for me to see that this is a business. When you have a duplex, this is like, okay, you live in one place, you got 2 people paying your rent. But when you buy a commercial asset, this is a business, right? And those tenants are your customers.
Yes.
And you're just managing your customers at that point. You're an account manager.
Absolutely. And one difference I also see when moving to bigger buildings like 10, 20 plex is if you have 20 homes and if you have a building with 20 units, like the furnace, there are like 20 furnaces here, right? Just one here, 20 water heaters and 20 different areas. You cannot get 20 houses in one single street, right? It's like, so the management in that part, plus I see economies of scale. And like you say, like the rent part, right? Where in the duplex, if somebody goes, 50% of the mortgage is jeopardized. In a 20-plex, if one person goes, it's like 5%, right? So it's like a non-event. So for everyone,
it's a game changer.
Yes, it is. And now if we move to 50 and 100, like 100 units, and so it's like 1%, right?
Yes.
People, I don't even know if somebody even follows up that, okay, someone didn't give the rent. I mean, they do, but like at 1%, there's not much effort. There's no worry.
Well, the thing about the bigger buildings, Harsh, is that now there's enough money to hire a team.
Yes, absolutely.
And so you as the owner are not focused on someone paid the rent, but someone on your team is. When you have a single family home, it's all on you.
Absolutely.
It's all your time, your credit, your money. If someone moves out, you have to go there and show the place, and you know what I mean?
Yes.
When you start getting into commercial assets, and of course, people are not going to start in a 100-unit building, but ultimately, the idea should be to expand, right? To continue to expand the portfolio and start buying a lot of these bigger assets, because it becomes a business. And if you can operate it as a business, this is where I think the majority investors need to be. Leverage other people's time. And if you look at all the wealthiest people in the world, own other people's time, right? So Richard Branson employs 100,000 people around the world. He owns a lot of time versus trading your time for money, right? And so if you have a single and you're going there and plunging the toilet, you're actually trading your time for money. And to get $200 cash flow to plunge a toilet, you're better off working at Tim Hortons sometimes.
Yes, yes. No, absolutely true. Absolutely true. All right. So now we want to move on to the Well Genius part, where you created this community around 3 years ago or 4 years ago.
Yeah. So officially it was 2018.
Okay.
But it was very much of a private community that I was because of, I've been doing training for over 15 years, and I've been training for a lot of other educational platforms. I've been on stages all over the world.
Yep.
And so what I missed was having hands-on people. I wanted to see someone through the whole process. I enjoy coaching and mentoring. That's kind of things that fulfill me. And so in 2018, I just went to my community and I started to connect with people. And I said, listen, I'm going to turn you guys into millionaires. And that's kind of what I was doing, kind of like, it was just like a private group until the pandemic hit. The pandemic actually created time in my life in order for me to now be open to receiving more students. Yes. And the second I did that, people started coming in like crazy. Yes. And so I knew at the very beginning that I needed to formalize it. I needed to create a platform because a lot of these people were lost. And so, we grew actually pretty quickly. We went from like, in 2020, we went from 30 to like 80 members in that year. And then in 2020, from 2021 to 2022, we went to like 100 and something members. We were like 130, 140 members. And from 2022 to 2023, we went from 130 to 800 members, right?
Wow, incredible.
So if this didn't happen, if I didn't organize and I create a proper system from the very beginning, this would be, this would not even be possible. In fact, if you share that with people, it's not even believable. You know what I mean?
Oh, yes. Coming from 100 to 800, it's, and that's like maybe like 14 or 15 months in total, like from 20. So so that's like on an average, like 50 plus people every month.
Yeah. Wow. And so that means that we did something right.
Yes, absolutely.
Look, Harsh, 2 weeks ago, we just launched our website.
Yes.
And so we defied all business logic, right? We did everything opposite. We built the community, we built the program, we built the community, we supported the people first before we started advertising and websites and all of that stuff, which is important for a business. But for me, it's all about the people.
Yes, yes. No, you are a very, very people and personable person. Not everyone is able to get to that level. Especially me. I like to I mingle a lot with people, but sometimes I like to sit alone as well.
Well, there's people that enjoy time by themselves. I don't.
Yeah. Okay, so any tips for the viewers or the listeners, because we'll be also putting it on Apple and Spotify. So any tips for any new coming investors or who want to get started or who are just on the verge? Should I not? So any tips or anything that you would like to say to them?
Look, at the very beginning, if you're looking at every deal the way you always looked at deals,
if
you're doing anything the way you've always done it, you will get more of what you've always had. So the very first thing that you need to do is expand your mindset, right?
Yes.
I don't care who you are, you're living way beneath your potential. And so nothing starts until we can tap into your full potential or more of your potential. Number two, you got to get educated. Without education, nothing happens. It's all about the intellectual currency. If you focus on getting that intellectual currency, and the more intellectual currency you have, the less actual currency that you'll need.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be wealth genius. It does not have to be, but find a place where you feel good and you can learn from other people.
Absolutely.
Get around the people that have the results that you are looking for. One of the things that makes Wealth Genius special is the people, right?
Yeah.
And our lives are a direct reflection from the expectations of our peer groups. Change your peer groups, change your life. show me your friends, and I'll show you your future. Right.
Wow.
So
Yes.
once you get the knowledge and you're surrounded yourself around the right people, take action.
Yes.
Because nothing happens unless you do something. Right.
Absolutely. Yes.
You can read 700 books, but if you did nothing, you wasted your time.
Yes.
And so it's all about action. Action, action, action. No one will remember you for something you almost did.
Yes.
Just
That's
expand the mindset, build the knowledge, join coaching programs, mentorships, community, and then ultimately take action.
yes. And I'm also a big believer of this, right? Because there are two ways of doing things, right? Which I believe in. Either someone can start, figure it out on their own, and it's not rocket science that nobody can figure out, right? They can always go here and there, look for certain things, and take it in bits and pieces, and take 20 years to get somewhere they want. Or they can shorten that time frame through the coaching and mentoring to get to some place like in maybe an year or two and get started. So that speed is the new norm, I would say, if you want to get there quickly. But yeah, we are most welcome if you want to do it on your own pace, right? Nobody's stopping you, and I'm sure you'll probably get there. But there's a probable there. With coaching and mentoring, there is no probable, right? You'll definitely get there.
Well, it's about compressing time.
Yes.
I come from the belief that if you are motivated enough, if you're inspired enough, if you're willing to take out the actions and you're willing to move forward and be determined, eventually you will get to where you're trying to go. Eventually.
Absolutely.
But what I wanted to do is compress time for people, right?
Yeah.
So instead of 5 or 10 years, we can do it in a year or two. So it just depends on the individual. It's like a cheat code. I don't know if you play video games, but there's these cheat codes. You skip levels. You skip levels, then you get right to the end result.
Yes, and then you don't die in those games as well, right? Through those codes. No. When we were like in India, we used to play, and there were a lot of cheat codes that we used to use. But yes, yeah. And coming back to like where we started when you got into this and about the people part, right? And the kids, where nowadays for the youth, right, that you're doing. Earlier, I remember what we used to do was we used to get out of the house, and we, like in India, we play a lot of cricket. So we just moved, like, get outside the house, and there will be like 5 or 10 kids, and we'll just start gather there, and we'll just start to play it, right? Nowadays, people played more over the phone or these Xboxes and the Nintendos, like, and kids don't want it. And I've seen people who, like kids especially, right? They'll have their necks like this, and they'll be doing like over the phone. In our time, because these things did not exist, we used to crave for other friends. And we used to walk into other homes, and it was just wonderful. So that youth thing that you're doing is actually, I think, the need of the hour. It is really, really needed, because the phones are, yes, they are getting smarter, but people are getting dumb through that, right? And they're losing connections, right? Which are the most important thing, because by the time they go out in the market, when they're in jobs, they just, that's a different world altogether, right? So it's yes, so that you're doing is just incredible and wonderful to help the youth.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, and I think more people should be doing that. So yes. So
we can do it together. If you don't know how to do it, just reach out, and we can do it together. You know.
For sure. Yeah.
I built the foundation to have a platform to be able to do this, like formally. You know.
Yes. Okay. No, I wonderfully like. It's been a pleasure knowing about you, about your why you do things, and how you're helping the youth, where you came from, and like you said, that it's a powerful story. And mine happened in the COVID times as well, and it's really powerful. I'm just finding a way to tell it to people, and pretty soon I'll release that, and I'm pretty sure some will get goosebumps, some will get afraid, but yeah, it was a scary time for us as well.
Well, I'm looking forward to it, my man.
Absolutely, yes, absolutely. All right. I don't have any questions left anymore. And people, if you would like to reach out to Alfonso, you can reach out to the Community Well Genius or the Quadra Group, and you just go to the website, or you go to the Quadra Youth Foundation website, and you can connect with the team there. And hopefully we'll see you soon somewhere in one of the boot camps or any of the events with Well Genius. And Alfonso will be on the stage helping us out. And so we'd like to thank you. And like you say, you should say it like the stay at the top.
Listen, Alfonso loves you, and we'll see you all at the top.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Purpose powerful enough will make you unstoppable.